Let's get to it. Like I was
Yeah, what's the
watching
topic?
Twitter. I do get on Twitter, and like me and you were talking about that this morning, and that where people are complaining. I guess this came from Next.js. So like Next.js just came out with a new version yesterday.
Yep.
Vercel's the company that built Next.js, and now they have this hosting platform. And so like this comment was like, "Hey, never get on an open source technology that's VC backed because that's a
Yeah.
bad move. You know, like you need to stay on the freest thing that you can." Basically, is what he was saying, and it got me thinking about like, well, there's a lot of reasons. You know, I pushed something out, I'm making a video on Bootstrap 5.2 that'll come out next week on CSS variables, and someone, someone was talking about, CSS frameworks on Twitter, and I just remarked, said, "Hey, Bootstrap says hi," and the guy put back, he says, "We don't discuss 11-year-old technologies here." So apparently, only Tailwind is worthy of discussion because it's newer.
Right. And that got us thinking, like, well, hold on a second.
Yeah,
That's not entirely that's
right,
like, it's just not an apples to apples comparison, is it? That's the thing.
right.
It's just not a. It's like, just because something is old by name, does it make it old?
Old.
Like,
right.
what do you mean by old, and what is 11 years old? Because if you're using Bootstrap from 11 years ago, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, because for example, we can take someone famous like Tom Cruise is what, late 58, 59. Most people, when they're that day, they're old. Tom Cruise isn't old by any stretch of the imagination. You know, like
right.
he's fit. You know, LeBron James, Tom Brady, they're not old.
Right.
They're in a number, but like they're doing things.
Right.
And so when we look at technologies, a lot of times we want to say, "Oh, I've got to get the newest thing because that must be better than the older thing. The older thing must be old and dated," and it's simply not true. Especially when it comes to C#. You know, so when we look at C# and we say, "Oh, well, it came out with 2002."
Here we go. So we're gonna look at the Wikipedia articles for these because this has them all in them. So first version 1 of C# was 2002.
Right. So it's 20 years old.
2002. So it is 20 years old. If we come all the way down, we're now down to version 11, which is going to come out at the end of this year, right? Which is going to be .NET
next
7.
month. Yeah. .NET 7, C# 11. And so all of this is coming out. Now, what I would say is neither one of these things, even though it's 20 years old by name, it's not old.
Right.
The thing
20
is,
years
talk
old
about
only
job
in
market.
name.
Yeah, only a name. So let's talk about job market. I mean, you can look at some other technologies that people say, "Hey, that's the new hotness," and we can look at, say, JavaScript. You know,
let's look at Bootstrap first, because the guy's literal thing was Bootstrap. So this came out 2011. Okay, yeah.
2011.
That was the first version 1.0. We're now on 5.2, right? 5.2, which came out. Yeah, well, 5.2 actually came out after then. 5 came out then. 5.2 came out recently.
Yeah.
Like, you cannot compare. This is not apples to apples. It is Bootstrap only in name versus version 1. You can't say it's 11-year-old technology. That's just a falsehood. You're just spreading myths. That's just a myth. It's just untrue. It's just false.
Yeah.
It's only in name, period.
Yeah,
and, you're right.
And so Twitter is backed by, obviously Bootstrap is backed by Twitter. And so when we're talking about VC-backed things, like this guy was saying, you don't use any VC-backed thing. And I'm like, well, the guy's literally working on React. I mean, React is built by Facebook. You know, it's like, come on, man. I mean, like, if there's a VC-backed thing, it's React. I mean, like, that's the largest VC-backed company on the planet Earth. You know, like, especially when you talk about C#, ASP.NET is backed by Microsoft. And then there's, in the other breath, they're saying, you can't write your server-side stuff because it's Microsoft. Therefore, you should use Go for all your server-side stuff, which isn't really ready for prime time on web anyway. Well, who builds Go? Google. So you're just going from one big tech firm to another big tech firm.
Right.
And then you're complaining that Vercel has the gall to charge for hosting for Next.js. And it's like, okay, they're small compared to these other companies. I don't understand like why everything must be free.
Yes, this everything must be free mentality is kind of nuts. It's nuts. Yeah. I mean, if they decide to charge for something that was once free that now they're deciding to charge for, don't complain about it. Let the market decide whether that's going to be true or not. If you're using it and there is value in it, then why shouldn't you pay for it? I think that's totally acceptable.
Right. It's, and I guess we do get spoiled by some hosting companies that were free for a while, and then they just realize that the economics
make money. There's a reason they're not free anymore.
Yeah.
There's a reason we're not using them still today. Exactly.
Yeah. So, It's kind of funny that that the way these technologies work is like they go in and out of favor because, you know, it used to be open source. And I saw something the other day on Twitter, just talking with people, and they were saying that it was Smart Image or Image Sharp, which is an image library built on C Sharp, you know, and suddenly they went to a commercial plan. They were open source and now they're commercial. And like, this is a bad move for the .NET community, you know, because these guys decide to charge for the product. And I'm like, well, you know, you can't build a company on putting a little banner, buy me a coffee or hit my Patreon. You just can't do that, you know, like, and open source is great, but it's just not, you shouldn't have to, you're not going to really build your company around, you can around an open source project, which I find hilarious is you expect someone to build the thing that you're going to build your company on and they shouldn't charge you for it. It's just kind of weird. Like that's, you want to make money. You know,
exactly.
But like,
exactly. I've seen some pushback on that too. When somebody, when somebody does use open source tools or free tools to build something and then charge for it, I see pushback at people from that. Be like, well, you use free tools to do it. Like, okay, that's only part of the story here. There's much more to it than that. There's my time, my effort, my plan, my idea, everything. Like that's not free. Like just because
Next.js is built on top of React, you know, so like you know, to run, so you can make Next.js, which I find funny. They want to make React. It was great because it's a front framework. Next.js comes along and says, hey, we need to make this server side, and I'm like, you know, okay, like, so we do come full circle back around to server side technologies. We want to render those pages on the server. Of course you do, you know, and hence the reason ASP.NET and MVC and all of these kind of postback technologies are still around, you know, because they still offer high value. And what I would say about Microsoft Defense is like, they do think that it's old, but they carry the old things all the way through. These people that talk about it, like it's Windows only, or it only runs on ISS, you know, and it's like, it's so far from the truth now that it runs anywhere, you know. I mean, you've heard of containers, right? I mean, like it runs in a container, like you can put containers anywhere you want, you know, as long as that container executes, it'll run wherever you want to do. So I do think
things that were once true, people just carry those on forever. Like it's forever going to be true. The feature set in C# 6 isn't the same feature set that's in C# 13. It's like they're two very, very different things.
Right.
And you can't compare them. Name only. Same way. So when we're talking about this, one of the big things that we were talking about too was like, well, then we started looking, well, like how old is JavaScript? Because people will push back on that, be like, well, JavaScript's the new version of JavaScript's the thing. It's the same thing, man. It's even older. Started back in the 90s, the late 90s, 97, then through 99, and then we're up to the latest version here in 2022. But this is incomparable to this. Like, it's just not the same thing.
Right? Yeah, they're not the same thing. I mean, like they do a whole lot of different things. So yeah.
So it's the same kind of genesis. It's just one of those things where it's name only. So when somebody tells you, like, hey, like your stack's old, like chances are it's not. It's old in name only. You're working on something that's probably released within 1 or 2 years. That's generally the life cycle for all of these things. They're 1 or 2 years old. If you're in the C#.NET world, it's now like a year old because we're seeing yearly releases. Yeah. You're working on technology that is a year old. Don't let somebody tell you it's 20 years old. It's just not.
Yeah.
It's just it's a falsehood.
Well, I think it's like C#. Yeah, it may be 20 years old, but it's been working out a lot. It's a lot like Tom Cruise.
There you go. Exactly.
I've been in the gym for 20 years, boys. You know, so like,
that does make a good point. It's like something that's a 20-year-old technology that's been around and had 13 iterations. But for some reason, you want to go for the alpha 0.3 version of a technology just because it's brand new. Like, surely this one over here is more stable, has had more time to figure stuff out than this alpha version over here that you're talking about that's like totally cutting edge because it's just new.
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't make sense
to me. Too, let's talk about job market, because that's really what we're concerned about with people watching the channel. Like, how do I get a job? How do I break into tech? And you got to understand, and we're in this space, we are content creators, Kevin, so we're not immune to this. And sometimes we will show things that come out that are new. But content creators, by far, who influence our decisions, especially if people say, I don't know what to build. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know what technology to build. And you go out on Twitter and or YouTube, and you're only going to see the newest thing. And you'll think, oh, that's what I got to learn.
Yep.
but the job market for that newest thing is very little. It's super small. And what you really need to be is the mainstream thing, the thing that's most widely adopted, most widely used.
Yep.
And the reason C# is widely used is because, number one, Microsoft backs it, pours millions of dollars into it. They're improving the tooling, the ecosystem, and everything to make it more and more productive, to hit more and more workloads. And that's why it stays relevant. It wouldn't be relevant today if they weren't working on it. And if it stayed where it was in 2002, it wouldn't be relevant. And that's where you got to think about, like, why is C# so relevant? So, and I was helping someone the other day, and we were looking, they had learned Merge Stack, which is kind of cool. Mongo, Express, React, Node, those kind of things, and it's like, that's very popular among boot camps. They'll teach Merge Stack.
Yeah.
We teach ASP.NET, we teach C#, we're a little bit different, and then I can't find a job. And so I went in there and looked and said, where do you live? And he named a city, and we just said, let's get on Indeed and let's look for a Merge job.
Yeah.
0.
Yeah.
Now we had to do some broader searches and look for JavaScript and things like that.
But even then,
we started finding some stuff. Small. Then I just type in ASP.NET and C# and like, boom, suddenly there's thousands of jobs in his area. And I'm like, and I promised him when he came to talk to me that I'm not trying to sell you my course. I just want to see if I can help you out. Yeah. And, and it's like, he said, should I learn .NET? And I'm like, well, I promised I wouldn't sell you anything, but like, yeah, I mean, like,
based on this, yeah.
I mean, this is why we teach it though, So we end up giving him a free month for the course, and maybe he can switch stacks and get more employed. Hopefully he can, hopefully he can do that.
Yep.
But like, these mainstream tech is where the money's at right now. Just like when Luke's coming on, how do I get into that secret contracting world above $100? That's right. It was because 10 million lines of code are written in a bank in .NET. And so you need to like do that. American Airlines investing all their money into a .NET backend. Yeah. That's where the contracting's at. That's where the money's at. So you don't have to learn the newest, hottest thing to break in, is what we're saying. In fact, a lot of times it can be detrimental. We don't know where these new things are going to go.
Yeah.
And that's why today, we can take something like Blazor. We can take something like Blazor today. If you're sitting here today watching this video in 2022, and you had to pick something to learn, should it be Blazor or ASP.NET? I'm saying, learn ASP.NET right now. You'll get more opportunities in there. If you're already coding, you already have carved out a career, yeah, you can look and experiment in the next thing. Maybe you should be looking at Blazor, WebAssembly type things, or maybe AR, VR development. But like, if you want a VR job today, it's going to be harder than a web dev job to break in. Doesn't mean you can't, it's just harder.
Yep.
Because there's less of them, which makes it more competition, less opportunities, but more opportunities in web development using mainstream things. HTML, CSS, JavaScript. We like ASP.NET, C#, but building things on the server. You couldn't do that with Next.js if you want to, but don't complain that Vercel is going to charge you for hosting your app. I mean, like, come on, man.
Right. This like expectation of free is kind of nuts at this point.
Yeah.
But I think it is just the expectation has been set by so many. But these companies, like you said, these hosting companies they're not doing it anymore, and there's a reason they're not doing it anymore, because they couldn't make a business out of it. It's not because they don't like you anymore, or they just like wanted to screw you over or whatever. So that's not what happened. They couldn't make money, so they had to shut down, or they had to go to a paid product, or whatever it is. They moved on. They realized that it's not attainable as a free product.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, let's answer some questions here, see if we can help anyone today, and we'll keep talking about it. But I just want you to think, while you're queuing them up here, Kevin, think about the mainstream tech, and that's where the money's at. That's the thing that we really want you to understand. Just because someone said, C# has been around for 20 years, I shouldn't use it. Bootstrap's been around for 11. Just look at the companies behind these things, and then open source frameworks aren't necessarily going to catch on because they aren't widely adopted, and they can't pour millions of dollars into the framework like you would want, like you expect from some of these large tech companies that are doing it.
Yep. Let's see here. N17 Hero says, so we can't discuss established tools and libraries that are still useful in commercial products.
It's kind of funny that guy said that. Like, Bootstrap was the most like installed CSS framework ever,
But
and it will be for a while.
But it's 11 years
Doesn't
old.
mean that. Yeah, it's like it's really cool though. I'm not saying that Tailwind doesn't have a place. I'm not saying people shouldn't make new things. I think they should. I mean, we want to push envelope as much as we can.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that Bootstrap suddenly is out of favor and you should only pick Tailwind because.
Right, you can't pick something based on the age of its name. You just can't. You have to look at what it does and its feature sets and whether that works for you and whether the tool is the right tool for the job. It's that simple.
That's the thing you need to look at.
And you're right about what's popular. Because if you can learn something, but it's just, let's say if you learn something and it's a technology and you love it and it's great and you can build things with it and great, but nobody is hiring for it, it's just a hobby. You've just got yourself a new hobby. That's all you've done. You've just given yourself a new hobby, which great. Have fun, but don't expect to get paid to do it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Rich Raider says the same thing we were talking about. It says if you don't talk about old stuff, then there goes JS and Java.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So JS, Java, even .NET, all of these things are at the beginning of what we call modern web, which is around 97 to 2000. Before that was VB.NET, before C# was released in 02. And C# is going to be around for the foreseeable future in our world. They're definitely updating this thing every year. Do they like F#? Yeah. But I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon. And they're building other things, Microsoft, obviously, TypeScript and Visual Studio and VS Code and those kind of things.
Real quick. WordPress turns 20 years old in May. There's another example of a technology that's been around for a minute. How much of the web runs on WordPress? A lot.
A lot of these websites are all built in and around and on WordPress and older PHP and this kind of things. It is kind of funny that when you talk about these old tech, most of the tech that we use today has been around for a minute because it takes a while for this stuff to mature and get stable. It just takes for a while. Yeah. So,
WordPress
and then
it's been around for a long time. I remember going to a WordPress conference maybe 2004, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Maybe 5, like in its early days.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. And the Matt Mullenweg guy was there too, which is the guy who made it.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't as super famous as he is today. Okay. Let's see. Hassan says, I'm a 23-year-old who just finished uni and I'll be working with the .NET stack. Never thought I'd ever work with it.
Well, you're only 23. When did you think that?
Well, it's probably one of those things where he's living in, if you live in the social media bubble.
All right, yeah.
There's not a bunch of .NET people out here yelling about it as there are with JavaScript or JS frameworks or whatever.
Right.
It's just, I think we made a joke in one of our early videos that, I don't know which video it was, but we were trying to talk about that in a way that, there's a lot of people out here talking about these new frameworks and new technologies and new languages, because all the people who are writing .NET and C# are all just working. They're all over here making money. They're not writing blog articles or yelling about it on Twitter.
Yeah,
because they're all over here doing the actual job. I think that's
and they're not in the creator space. The creator space is really dominated by JavaScript. And I'm not saying that JavaScript is bad, and I'm not hating on JavaScript. It obviously has a place. People do use it. Obviously, it's been around forever. But .NET is overlooked just because it's not common in the tech Twitter space, the creator space on YouTube, those kind of stuff.
I would also say that JavaScript's gone through kind of ups and downs too, for sure, in terms of popularity.
Sure. There was a point for a while.
Oh, there was a point in the mid 2000s where it was man, there were I hate JavaScript t-shirts. And this wasn't unusual. Exactly. This was the common consensus was JavaScript's a necessary evil and I detest it. It really was. It was well, I don't have a choice, so I have to use it because it's the only language on the front end, and I really don't like using it. And that suddenly changed. And some frameworks changed some of the ways that it was used, and that turned around. So don't believe that it's always been super hot and popular. Yeah, because it hasn't been.
Yeah.
Okay. our next one here. Let's see. Repowered says, I hear a lot of hype around Next.js. What features with Blazor make superior to Next.js?
So, just know that there's things about, they both do the same thing. You're building an application that runs in one kind of page, and you have components that get pushed in there. They both kind of same thing. Next.js is running those components on the server. Same thing with Blazor. What makes Blazor superior probably is the impact of writing C# on the back end. So like you can write Next.js and Node on the back end, and you write Blazor. I think the tooling and also the fact that it's running in WebAssembly too is another kind of feature, is that you have WebAssembly compiled code running in the browser would make it superior in some cases at Next.js. Now, is it ready yet? We'll see. .NET 7's coming out. It's gotten a lot better. We are going to start building some of our projects here at Foundry and Blazor, just because we want to see what we're going to do. So I think the next thing we'll probably be teaching next year is Blazor blog instead of an MVC blog. We'll still be doing MVC for Bug Tracker and MVC for Contact Pro, but we'll be probably building a Blazor blog. The coding style is still the same in and around here. It's so nice on the Blazor side as far as like building things and making things work and how easy it is to do. So the tooling is really what makes Blazor superior, because you're using Visual Studio. Now, there is a hype around Next.js. That's because content creators like JavaScript in general, and anything new in JavaScript is going to get a video. And so the hype becomes bigger. But basically what I find kind of funny is that JavaScript started out as a client-side developed technology. Then we started like, okay, can we write the whole web page in JavaScript? And then we run into those security problems that we have by everything running client-side. So then we had to find out how to make server-side technologies, Next.js, and those things come along where can I run that on the server? Blazor, ASP.NET, and those things, that's the way it's always been. So you eventually, as you build your app, you have to run on the server eventually. So, that's kind of what I think. Both of them will have jobs. I don't think Blazor is a mainstream tech yet. We'll see next year and see what happens.
Yep. Larry wants to know where we can buy one of those. Hey, I'm sure there's some, they're vintage at this point, but I wouldn't be shocked if you can find them. I distinctly remember seeing the shirt. I was like, wow, you got to really hate it to buy the shirt.
I think you could buy I Love JS t-shirt. I'm sure you can.
I'm sure you can at this point. That's just, I'm sure you can.
Let's see if I find one. We get that sweet affiliate link. I'm just kidding.
Let me see here. The guy said the important takeaway is to learn one and be proficient at it before learning another. I
do think that's important. I mean, that you should definitely be proficient in something. Legato, and definitely before learning something else, you should try to be proficient. But I want you to resist the urge to say, I've got to know everything before I can learn the next thing. You don't have to know every single nook and cranny of anything. Wow. Luke says, I hate JavaScript.
And it's on sale, man. $14. Just saying.
Yeah.
Public. People are still making these, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
People still making.
Get it in any color you want.
Get it in any color. You want a nice Foundry orange.
Nice Foundry orange. There you go.
That's very bright. Get the hot pink. I like it. Oh, there we go. This one. Look. The hot pink I hate JavaScript shirt.
Luke says Blazor's a scam. I wouldn't call it a scam, man. Just let them finish it. Before you say it sucks, just let them find out. It's definitely under construction. It's all about WebAssembly. WebAssembly is not going to be a scam. It's going to stick around. You got to understand, this is a browser centric language, WebAssembly. Just like JavaScript, it's a new language that runs in the browser. Blazor is a way to compile C# into WebAssembly so it runs in the browser. So we'll see what they do. See if they can make it mainstream. I'm not sure yet.
Here we go. Just to follow up on that, King says, Blazor products ready for production.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's just what I'm saying is, is a million companies using it versus, you know, ASP.NET MVC or something else. That's what I'm saying. Can you build stuff on it? Absolutely, you can build stuff on it. You know, Andy talks about something like creating a full stack web app requires cobbling together a bunch of framework technologies, various frameworks, if at all in JS. And that's yes. And,
yeah, we've talked about that a lot, haven't we? Like how fragmented that is and how difficult it is for somebody who doesn't understand that fragmentation to put something together. Because it's like, what do I need to do? You want to cut
down on the cobbling? Get you Visual Studio Community, open up an MVC project and just scaffold it out. And you'll see right away that they have cobbled together all the frameworks for you, except it's not cobbled together. It is written to,
it's well put together.
To work. So security is in there. You know, the server-side framework's in there, the templating framework, all of those things that that require you to figure out work in ASP.NET. It's really nice.
Let's see. Look all the questions here. That's funny. The guy says, "Am I the only one here besides Bobby that remembers Bad Race?" I remember that.
I can remember when I got a modem in my office, and I thought,
what was the fastest one you ever had? You remember what the fastest modem was you ever had? What did you
I think it was 56K.
56 was mine too, because I think when we got to 56, when we peaked at 56, we moved to broadband, didn't we? After that,
yeah,
I think we peaked at the 56, right? I can't remember having anything after a 56, but I remember having a. I definitely remember having a 14.4 and a 28.8.
28.8
for sure, and then I remember getting the 56. I might have had a 9.6 before that. I think the 9.6 was the one before. I think I had one of those too. Yeah, that's old technology. You gotta dial up.
You said I'm old.
It's the sweet sound of dial-up, though, right? We missed that. We should have that every time we turn the computer on. We should have that that whirring dial-up sound. It was a good sound.
Or the AOL sound was the other one.
The AOL sound, yeah. The You Got Mail. I want to know how often do we use switch expression, and is it used in the online course?
I use the switch. If you go watch the FizzBuzz, the movie, you know, I have an hour and a half demo on how to build FizzBuzz 18 different ways. I think one of those uses a switch expression. Depends on what I'm doing. Use it quite a bit when we're teaching in the online course. Typically, we'll stick with if then else because we're trying to make sure that you have continuity from project to project to project, so we'll end up using it. There's no difference between an if then else and a switch expression. There are some things that make switch expressions nice, and then when we find it it's useful, we use it. So it's not used a whole lot. I don't think it's used a whole lot in general anyway. I think some people like it and that's in their coding style, but you can get the same thing done with other things for sure.
Is it generally used if you have more than one option in your logic, right? Is that what we're talking about with the switch?
Yeah. Well, it's basically you can have switch and then you have case, right. And it's a little bit less typing than if and if then else.
It just looks a little bit nicer, doesn't it? I think when you see it on the screen.
Right. Yeah. And less verbose than typing out. So. So,
okay, what's Mikey say? Mikey says, if I work building desktop applications, WPF C#, would a journey down the full stack web development be a good side hustle pursuit?
100%. I would learn web dev.
Your full-time pursuit.
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I think you can, you have more opportunities in web dev, but, and you can use C#, especially if you're writing controllers in MVC or even web API on the back end. You definitely can. I
think you'd be surprised how much crossover there is, right?
A little bit of crossover. Yeah, you know, you're going to have to learn HTML, CSS, and you have to learn some JavaScript. So you can't do everything in C#, but but maybe looking at Blazor too is another thing that it's more mostly C# than just ASP. The front end's a little bit different, but. Should be cool.
Oh, hold on. He's talking about something else. He says no switch statements. I mean the new C# 9 featured switch expressions.
Okay. No, we're not using those much in the language right now. So it's not in the course, no.
That one already. Okay, Ridgeway says, if I have a Blazor app on my portfolio, should I make it number 2 in the projects area, or go ahead and place it as the number 1 app?
If it's your best app, make it number 1. And then I think that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's more around. I agree. I think it's less about what technologies you use to build it, and more about if you have a bunch of apps, put your best one forward. Like your
whatever
most
you think
kind
the
of
best
feature-rich,
one is.
best, most complete app is.
Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, because if you build a lesser app with it, just because it's a different technology, it may not translate very well in terms of because they're not gonna. The person's assessing it may not take the time to realize, oh look, he built that with Blazor. They're just gonna look at the app on itself and be like, it's okay. And then maybe they don't look at your star app, which is you've now demoted to number 2 because it's you feel like it's built with a different technology and doesn't work as well.
Yeah.
So here you go. So Bug Tracker is the current number 1 app. So yeah, that's if you've built that's it. I would stick with that. Unless your Blazor app is a Bug Tracker version with Blazor somehow, then
yeah.
But chances are this is probably the most feature-rich app you can have on your portfolio.
Yep.
I would stick with that. Let's see. We'll talk about this just real quick. Let's talk about this morning or the other day. I can't remember. What do you think about JetBrains?
I was actually, funny you asked. I was reading about that this morning. I don't know a lot about Fleet, but I was looking at JetBrains in general because I've switched to a Studio, and so I have a Mac Studio and I've got Parallels, and so when you go to Parallels, you only can get a Windows 11 preview on it, and then the ARM version of Visual Studio only has a couple of workloads. It doesn't have game development. And I was mentioning this morning, I'm writing a game in my spare time, just something that I want to do. And I'm like, I'm going to go JetBrains because that runs natively on the Mac, but I haven't tried it yet. But I wouldn't be using Fleet for that. I would be using Rider.
The follow-up to that, by the way, was could it replace VS Code?
It could. I mean, that's what it's meant to do. I mean, it's definitely a VS Code competitor. But I think it has a steep hill to climb to get over VS Code. VS Code is really, really nice. And
I think people push back on it a lot because it's paid too. Which again is silly.
Yeah.
If you use it,
right.
When we say it's paid, it's not like it's ridiculous. It doesn't cost the earth. It's not hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
I think if you get everything from JetBrains is $199 a year, I think.
Okay.
I think it's $149 for a Rider subscription, and if you $169 if you get everything plus all the .NET tools, which you may not use. So
if you're a developer making money, that's nothing. If you're a developer making money, that is nothing. That's less than your coffee budget.
I want something that runs on the Mac side well, and so currently right now and I haven't tried it yet, so I don't know how good it is. But if you wanted to do Unity development like I want to, running it on ARM is a problem. And so I do have an Intel MacBook, so I can use that, but I want to get over to one machine.
I was going to say, and sometimes it's more of a research hub than
no idea.
But there's a point where this also doesn't matter. It matters on some machines. It ain't gonna matter on Bobby Studio. It's got
it doesn't.
It's fully stacked. It's not gonna matter. It'll run anything. It's not.
I'm not worried.
I agree why that is an issue. If you've got a machine that's underpowered, yes, you do have to take that stuff into consideration. But there is a point where you get a machine spec and it's so spec'd out that doesn't reflect into it.
Yeah. So I want to use something that will actually run on it.
No, it's not free, right? I don't think there's a free version at all, is there? There's a trial.
Yeah, it's not free.
There's a trial, but it's also not free. The trial is just I think a limited time trial. It's not like Sublime, right? If you remember the Sublime days, Sublime was paid, but it was free because it had those nagging boxes that would just come up all the time.
Yeah,
it would just be it was free, and it was just hey, you got to pay for this, right? You got to pay. They just bother you, but you could just close it out and just move on. I don't think it's like that. I think it's an actual 30-day, 60-day trial, whatever it is.
Yeah, and Espedan saying that Rider was built specifically to work with library. They had a thing out today or yesterday about game dev with Rider, and
we were talking about this because it is built in with Unity. We mentioned this the other week, didn't I? Because I looked at Unity and I was like, oh look, it has a Rider IDE built straight into it.
Yep. Well, it's got a lot of the build tools and a lot of the packages that come in are built with Rider. So I don't know, man. I'm going to try it out because I'm doing something. I'm not saying that I'm releasing a game on Steam and I'm going to quit Coder Foundry. It's just I have an older son. He's in his mid-20s, and we're building a game together. We'll see what happens. When we finish it, I'm not committing to ever finishing it, but like we're going to give it a shot, you know? And so when I was working on it, I was just trying to get everything to work over on Parallels. And like, man, this would be so much better if it worked native right on the Mac side, or I need to buy a specific Windows PC or something like that.
Which, if you do, by the way, you saw that new the Project Volterra thing, right? That became the what did they call it? I can't remember what they called it now. It had an official name. It's like Microsoft Dev Box or something. It's such a bad name.
Yeah, $5.99.
Yeah. Which was let me pull that up here because that was interesting. I forgot.
It is ARM though. It is ARM.
It is ARM.
Yeah.
But this, so there you go. Windows Dev Kit 2023. It's like that's the best name you could come up with. That's the best name, Microsoft. Come on, man. Windows Dev Kit 2023.
Otherwise known as Volterra.
This was better.
Volterra, otherwise known as Windows Dev Kit 2023.
Why'd you do that? It's the most boring sounding computer ever, isn't it? But it's not a boring computer. It's a very cool computer.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. It's an ARM-based Windows Dev Kit, which looks super powerful.
They never learn because they're calling it WebKit 2023, and next year they're going to call it WebKit 2.0. And you're like, whoa,
exactly.
Is it the 2.1 or the 2000 one? Like, which one is better? I mean, like, I don't know. You know, like
I don't know exactly.
You know, so I don't know, but this is nice though. So again,
$600,
I don't
right?
know.
I think that's what it came out. $599. I think
you need to really read into it to like what can run on it. And so like I do know that Visual Studio will come out for ARM, and I do know that more workloads are going to be out by the end of the year. Does that include Unity? They haven't said. I don't know.
I saw a tweet from Scott Hanselman said he's been using this kit for the last year. So he's had a demo kit of this. He's been using it and hasn't talked about it for the last year. So everything he's been doing for the last year, he's been doing on this machine.
Right. So for him, you know, it probably works really well. Building some websites, maybe a desktop app. You know, I'm looking for a specific use case of like. But the cool thing about this is I may get one if it does, and then just that way I can just leave it where.
Yeah, exactly. You have a Windows machine. Look how small of a footprint it is.
It's pretty cheap.
It's kind of nice.
Should be fast. Purpose built to do one thing.
Exactly. $600 is a good price. I don't know how fast can it be for $600. This can't compare to the Studio. It just can't.
It doesn't. It's a different Snapdragon chip in it. It's not M1 or
M2.
Well,
yeah, because they haven't developed their own, have they? It's got their own. It's got this Gen 3.
Yep.
HCX thing.
Now I'm sure it's pretty snappy. I mean, I bet it's pretty snappy. I bet you it is.
I would imagine it is, because why would you put it out otherwise? It has a specific use case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But like a Mac Studio is going to run circles around that, you know, for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
But we'll see. I'm excited what they're going to do, and maybe they can get Windows 11 out officially, and Microsoft will get Visual Studio out officially. I do know there's some licensing problems, you know, where they have a contract that the only release on that chipset. Yeah. Yep. So, you know, so I don't know if it will ever be officially supported on Mac Studio. It does run though. So.
Yep. This is good. They're following your WebKit
XP.
I see. We are going to make an XP comeback at some point, aren't we? They're going to just they are going to start recycling names at some point, because they've done that before too. They call something exactly the same name, but it's like, well, look at what they. I mean, look how popular Xbox is, and their naming conventions for Xbox are they disgust me. I just don't understand what they're thinking.
Well, the thing was like you had 360 and then went right to 1. You're like,
well, exactly. You had Xbox, you had 360, 1, and now you're into like Xbox X, and it's so confusing. Yeah. If you just saw the names in a list, you'd be like, what? Which version am I buying?
I remember I was in a GameStop. It was just 2 years ago when the Xbox X was coming out, right? And there was this mom and dad comes into GameStop, and I'm just sitting there looking at my stuff around. And they were going to buy their kid an Xbox for Christmas.
Yeah, you told me.
And the guy says, "Yeah, we've got some ones right over there." And I'm like, can I say something?
Please don't buy that.
Unless you know exactly what you're doing and you're buying a 1 on purpose, I promise you that getting a 1 is a mistake. That's the classic uneducated parent mistake. we got a brand new Xbox, son.
Yeah.
He throws it out the window. Like, what are you talking about, Mom?
And the guy at GameStop is like, man, I sold a 1 today. Can you believe that? But look at this. Look at the naming. It's terrible. An Xbox, a 360, then a 1, then the 1S, which was an interim model, and the 1X. Oh, no, these came out together, I think, right? The 1S and then the 1X. And then now we're on Xbox Series S and Series X. If this isn't confused with this, I don't know what is. Like,
it's super confusing. This is what they were talking about, you know, like, we're like, this is, I said, you know, you want the one that looks like a trash can, you know, like,
exactly. That's exactly what you have to do. You have to go by the looks of it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You want the one that looks like the mini fridge, which they made the mini fridge out of. But you need to be like, you need the one that's the big cube. Like, don't get the one that isn't the big cube, because you're going to be buying this one. And it's
because I'm assuming they already has an Xbox One, you know. So.
Exactly.
So anyway,
I think I had all of these. I had this one. I had this one. I had, what did I go to then? And then I went to a 1X. Actually, I skipped the 1 and the 1S, and now I have an X.
No, I quit right here at the one.
Which one? This one?
I have. Yep. I went to PC after this. I went to the PC Master.
Well, I have PC too, but
so
gotta buy all the Xboxes. I remember having this one.
I have the NZXT Mini, which looks like that Xbox Series X.
Yeah, similar to this. The case is similar, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, I remember having this, and I'll be honest, I had a cool chipped version of this. It was very cool.
Yeah.
You had to do a hardware hack.
Call of Duty version?
You had to do a hardware hack on this.
Okay.
You actually had to take it apart and solder some new chips in it, which was kind of cool. So I proper had a modded version of it. I'll admit it, I don't have it anymore, but I did at the time. This was a long time ago. Clearly back in the
At one point, I had 4 ones in my house. 4 Xbox
Because everybody had to have one? That's funny. I had 2. I had one upstairs and one downstairs.
Just show my age. Me and my kids played Serious Sam co-op, and we would like have them in different places and like had them all hooked up, you know, and we would play together. Yeah. It was kind of funny.
I like it.
So I got the Dad of the Year award that year.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. Let's just see here. Yes, it was Simon. That's because we're old. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years. 5 years blew by. And yeah, this is something that's interesting. Prices have stayed consistent. They have. Like that first one was $300, but we're talking like 500 now. But it's you know, I mean, back from the Xbox One though, that came out with the Kinect at $500, and that was back in 2013. This one came out in 2020.
Remember that thing? That's gonna take over.
Yeah, that didn't do so well, did it?
No,
that didn't do so well.
The Wii.
Yeah. Oh well, it was a good attempt.
It was a good attempt. It was a good shot.
Let's see. Tylee and Cole says, I'm 99% C# professional senior dev 30 years. Love the stack. I've learned Blazor and hoping my employer will move from Angular to Blazor someday.
They might. I mean, I don't know. But imagine that if you're doing Angular and you're .NET, you're probably writing web APIs on the back end. I imagine even with Angular. That's that's a good stack. I mean, it's nice. If there's ever a use case for performance on the front end, man, Blazor may be the thing that gets people to get over to it. If it's not a use case, then they may stay with Angular and JavaScript. But it doesn't mean that Blazor won't have a dent in the marketplace. I think it will. But then once that pendulum swings, it seems like people leave things in the dust, you know. Angular is another tech that's had its up and downs, you know, like when Angular 1 comes out, and then 2, and then 3 breaks everything that 2 did, you know. So like they've had their ups and downs releasing that framework.
Okay, N17 says, off topic, you recommend a demo account for projects. Yep. What is your... Oh, here you go. We talked about this just yesterday.
Yeah, we're talking
what is your DB clear down strategy when someone creates test data when trying your app? Schedule clear down.
So what I would do is I would first off, I'm gonna have 2 accounts. Number 1 is demo, which is like the public demo where someone can just click on stuff and run it, and they could add, say, a ticket in there, okay, and you can upload images. The other one is you log in when you want to demo it to someone else, and that has your set of data that no one else can see. So that's for your personal demos. So 2 types of demos, one that I'm demoing and the one the self-paced demo. I would, if you're worried about people killing your data or uploading something that's not, safe for work, we'll say, it's not safe for work, then I would just reseed it. I would just create a task that runs every 24 hours and reseed it.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. You could have that run as much or as little as you wanted, right? You could have it do it every hour if you wanted it to.
Yeah, you also could just go in and just put a button on the admin side that you have access to. That's clearly not for someone else, and then just hit a button and just clear it down and reseed for that user, the demo user. It's just for one user account. So that's what I would do. Either way, even if you can't schedule it, then you can go and have a button that you can just run on demand. That you clear yourself.
Would you limit that view then to your super admin or whatever it is, and not the
so I'd have a different role, a different claim, and I'd come in, and when I logged in, it would only be for me, and then I get access to that.
Right. So right before you go in and do your demo, whatever, you just click that button. But I think it is a good idea to have it redone every night too, though, just because if you get an employer come to your site and there's horrible stuff on there, like that's not going to be good either, right? So, so I think clearing it out is the way to go, because we were talking about that. But here's the other thing too, though. You're not getting a massive amount of traffic to your site unless you get specifically targeted and somebody really malicious comes there and tries it. It's like your chances of it happening are slim anyway. But I get it. You are trying to get a job, so you do have to make sure you put your best foot forward. If an employee does come there and sees horrible things, it's like your chances are dead. So chances of it happening are low, but to cover yourself, clear it out every night. And like you said, before you do a demo, have a separate account, and before you do a demo, hit that clear out button anyway.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure you're reseeding it too, right? Not just deleting everything in it. You want to because you need information in there. You still need to reseed it.
Right. Yeah. So you reseed it with all especially for the bug tracker, we have a seed method that we teach, and that'll seed up tickets and projects and users and things like that. But you could take it one step further and add a new role that only you have, super admin. So
another question we were talking about the other day. We've talked about, I don't know why. Are you guys listening to us or something?
I know, it's our Google.
Because seriously, yesterday we were literally talking about reseeding. We've never talked about this before, and we were talking about it just yesterday, I think. And this one, I think we'll talk about the other day. But using demos for interviews, is it a good idea to run the app from your PC in case you might have spotty internet? So we were talking about this an hour ago, maybe even an hour and a half ago.
So two things. I think if you have spotty internet, so that's the safe thing. The second thing I would say is your PC slow. So running things from Visual Studio, if you're using that, can be kind of slow. So make sure it is started, and you don't want to wait for Visual Studio to spin up if you have a slow laptop. It depends. But you can't always rely on the internet, But it is good to see a published app, because the published apps do run faster. They do run faster because they're not running debug and that kind of stuff.
We were talking about earlier about just having redundancy in place, right? So we're talking particularly about, I'm going to bring Scott's name up again, but Scott Hanselman. We're talking about like when he goes to do a demo, because you'd seen a video on this, and talking about how he ensures that his demo is going to work. Dude takes 2 laptops with him. He has an extra one in his bag in case his first one doesn't work.
And he talked about being on a conference, and it didn't. His laptop broke during the demo, and he just reaches over to his bag right there on stage and pulls out another one, and bam, he was up and running, didn't miss a beat, and everyone was like, "Wow, okay, he's a pro." And then on top of that, he has for his slides or whatever is in the cloud, multiple clouds on a USB stick,
there's redundancy on redundancy on redundancy of demo.
Exactly.
Because the reason we were talking about this, because we were looking at a Microsoft video, and we both seen the same video in the past, and it was like they were doing a demo. It was Blazor, right? They were doing a Blazor demo, and they had demo failure. It broke. It didn't work. And they're on this live thing doing this failure, and it's like, what are we doing here? Like, how does it not work? And how did you have no backup? They literally just moved on and said, well, that doesn't work. Next.
Yeah.
Like, really? Like, no. And you have to live by that same thing when you're going into an interview. You really, really need to make sure that it works. So just, if you can build in redundancy. Just try and make sure that it's going to work. Because demo failure during that point, and it will be a turnoff. Whether they say it is or not, it just will. It's just this second nature thing. They'll just be like, even the back of their mind, even if they say, everybody makes a mistake and it fails, whatever. they're going to hold it against you, even if it's
Yeah,
subconscious.
yeah. It's never a good look. It's never
just
a good
not,
look.
is it? It's just not.
Yeah.
And I guess that's I just need to turn my hot mic off. On
The camera's moving again. So.
You guys must be listening into me.
Yeah. Yeah, the Discord mic.
There you go. And yes, don't have 68 tabs open in Chrome like I do. Yeah, streamline your demo. You're right. Just make sure that it's like, clean environment, whatever. You could even set up like a virtual machine of some kind too. To have
that, or you can have multiple desktops.
Exactly.
Like that.
Just have a clean environment of some kind. And you've got this thing down. It's not a surprise when you come in and like something happens. Like you know exactly what's going to happen. It's just you've got it set. Let's see.
Cody in the 30 has a hot take right now.
See what's Paul saying. Hot take: are there junior full stack developer jobs? I would argue no, since by nature full stack is not junior. Oh, okay.
Okay, that's definitely a hot take.
Interesting. That is.
So we could pull up Indeed. So let's pull it up. Let's look it up here.
Let's go take a look. We'll do it real time.
Answer is there's a lot of junior devs out there. So where do we want to look, Kevin?
Kernersville.
Kernersville. Yeah, like we're gonna find it. We'll say .NET developer, or we can say SP.NET. You can probably do that too.
We'll just start with this.
Yeah. And then you go entry level.
Where's that one? Here, right? No. Experience level, right? There we go.
Yeah, right.
Well, it's 5.
Entry level. Well, you did search Kernersville, the tech.
Well, I know. I'm just saying Kernersville. I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's 5. That's not actually that bad.
Yeah. There we go. Wake Forest, right there, 79,000. That doesn't look entry level to me. They say it is, but it doesn't look that way.
I don't know. These are big companies though too. So maybe. Maybe.
Corvo.
We know this one, right? We know this company.
Yeah, we do know this guys. So Corvo makes radios pretty much for all the Apple products. That's what they do.
Oh yeah, that's what they do. That's interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, they're an interesting company.
Yeah, I know
that's not even the right thing though. That's a different.
Yeah.
So not a lot in Kernersville, but we kind of expect
Volvo. Yeah, but Volvo Group here.
What other place do you want to do? Somewhere a little bit bigger than Kernersville.
You just do North Carolina, and then you can just look in North Carolina, and just hit North Carolina.
As I said, within 25 miles of Kernersville, because that is a small area. By the way. So
Raleigh here, .NET developer in Raleigh.
So this is 140.
Yeah, there you go. Cognizant. We're trying to place that job right now.
Oh, this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're talking to Cognizant right now.
That's a good salary, Steve. Here's a real entry level one. Look, 36 to 40,000. Yep. This one is a genuine.
Yep. Let's see what they're looking for. We found
18-month contract.
6 months programming experience required. ASP must be relocated. Yeah, relocation, $2,500. Nice. Basic understanding of OOP concepts with Java, Python, SQL is a plus. Okay. So if you're doing OOP and you're on web, whatever. Nice.
Okay.
It's Horizon. We've talked with Silverline before. We've placed people there. They're in Winterville. So
where's Winterville?
In nowhere. It's worse than Kernersville.
Hold on, let me go look. Look at Winterville. I've never heard of it. Hold on. Winterville.
There it is.
Okay. Where are we at here? Oh, we're out by the ocean. Okay, not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of near the beach.
Kind of. I mean, the beach is all the way out here, right? It's closer
near.
than we are, I guess. It's nearer.
Yeah, exactly.
It's nearer than we are, but it's not. Yeah, I wouldn't say it was. I wouldn't say it was beach, because this ain't beach right here.
Yeah.
So this is like swampland, isn't it, over here? I think.
Yeah, it's.
You gotta go all the way down.
Never been out there.
Emerald Isle or Atlantic Beach down here, or you go out to Outer Banks out here.
Yeah. Look for some shipwrecks.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, tons of shipwrecks out here out of Banks. Good place to
Yeah,
go.
but they're hiring .NET people out there in Winterville, so that's kind of funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So interesting.
So this guy Mahler says, I thought U.S. salaries were like 100 to 500K per year. It depends on what you're doing, man. And like, you're gonna find the what Bree Powered said. Prissy Polly's barbecue sounds good. It is good. It's like I'm surprised.
It's all right. It's not my favorite, but it's all right. I mean, it's all right.
There's a couple. Clark's is right down the street from there. Pretty good.
What's Paul say? So anyone completing a full stack curriculum should not be considered junior. My argument: don't worry about junior, just apply. Yeah, that's exactly 100%.
It. Yeah,
that's exactly it. Yeah, it's funny how we label ourselves, isn't it? After like we've done this thing as like, oh man, I've only been doing it for a few months or 6 months or whatever, or a year. Like I'm clearly I feel like I don't know everything. Therefore, I'm just going to keep continuing to call myself a junior. That's just going to hold you back.
Yeah, and Mahler said that in his country, entry level is like 30K, and I'd say that here, if you're in everywhere but New York and San Francisco, what I tell people is the real deal. They're coming into Coder Foundry. What can I expect? How much money can I make? You need to plan on 40K probably being the low end.
Yeah, 40 seems to be the low, isn't it?
80 being the absolute highest end. Coming out here as a junior dev, I think it's somewhere reasonably 50 to 60K is what you really should expect here. The highest that you can make after 5 years is way north of 100 for sure.
Oh yeah.
I called him Mahler, but it's Mailer. Over there, it looks like double L's. It's a little small for me, but
no, you're good.
It's a Mailer. So yeah, it just depends on where you live. Different. Cost of living is different too in different countries too. So like, 30K may be good or maybe low. So I'm not sure. I don't know, but here, 40 to 80 in that range, and it's a broad range. So it depends on, hey, if you're in metropolitan Raleigh, you may get paid higher. If you're somewhere in West Virginia, you're going to get paid lower. It depends on where you live, what part of the country in the U.S. you're living in. The salaries do widely range. So. Yep. All right.
One last one for the road. Thoughts on relational versus non-relational databases?
It's relationals all the way. I mean, that's what you should be learning. As you're a new learner and you're coming in and trying to break in, relational DBs is the way to go. Still to this day. I mean, there are some non-relational DB systems out there, but once you move into bigger enterprise, relational DBs still dominate. Oracle's still a thing. SQL Server's still a thing. And it's still being used widely, and there's nothing wrong with that. They're all really good in the relational database. We teach Postgres here at Coder Foundry so that you can move into that relational database market. Still dominated by relationals.
Yep. There's another thing we talked about a lot. Is this in a video that we've released yet or not? I can't remember. But we just had one. I think it's the one that we've already released. I'm not sure. I'm in the middle of editing.
100% right on this. After 30 is 100% right on this, man.
Yep.
Cover your bills.
Yep.
The first job isn't about the pay, it's about the experience. Second job can be about pay and location and perks and those kind of things.
Yeah. I mean, you've told the story a million times, but the story of the person who didn't take the first job and then literally never got another offer.
Right.
They let the skills go to the wayside.
The skills slide, and they never really kept up to it, and they just kind of slowly went out there.
That's funny. Thanks for stopping by, Paul. We think you're awesome.
No, you're awesome, Paul. You're awesome.
You're awesome.
You're awesome, Paul.
If you don't know Paul, and you're older, let's say above 30, but Paul's above 40 now, so he needs to change his channel name. I keep telling him this.
Yeah.
But if you're changing careers, Paul did it in his 30s, so
it's definitely possible to do.
Go subscribe to his channel too.
All right, well, fun for the ring. We've got a contest coming out. We're hit 92,000 now, so like we're closing in on this. If you want to like,
we're still at 90. We're still just above 90.
Oh, 90,000. I'm living in the future, Kevin.
Living in the future.
I'm using Next.js, so now I'm in the future.
Well, we'll reach that 100,000, and when we do, we're going to do this little giveaway up here. So trust us, you can scan this. There's nothing weird happened. This doesn't rickroll you or anything funny. Although maybe
right now it's in the hundreds of people that have applied, so you have a good shot if you want to
it is less than 1,000.
Yeah,
less than 1,000 right now, so that's pretty good odds.
Yeah.
Better odds than winning the lottery.
Yeah. I've got that on lockdown tomorrow, on Saturday, though. 800 million is mine.
Hold on. How many tickets do you buy?
One.
Okay, one. One is the only correct answer to that question.
It's the only correct answer.
One is the only correct answer. If it's
Unless
two...
you're buying a million. If you're buying a million, you might.
Well, even then, you're only increasing your odds by about that much. What are the odds of winning it? They're literally 1 in a billion or something, right? It's massive.
Yeah.
I tried to explain to people, I'm like, why are you buying 10 tickets? Why are you spending $20 on it versus 2? I don't understand. Just please buy just 2. Please buy one. Please buy $2. It's one ticket. You have a 1 in a billion shot, or you have a 2 in a billion shot. It makes no difference. Like, I don't know.
But no one else will buy it because my winning ticket's already been issued, so we're good to go. We're getting it on Saturday.
If everybody else just wants to buy a bunch, though, please do, because you just up the prize. That's all you're doing. You're upping the prize so that when I win, because I have a winning ticket, when I win, it's just more money for me. It is 800 and something million, right? That's
800 million. We're getting in billionaire range,
which still isn't the highest lottery, is it? We had one.
It's been a billion. There's been a billion dollar. Yeah.
It's estimated at 800 million for is that tomorrow? Yeah. Saturday. So,
800 million. That's what I'm going to do.
I did have a ticket for yesterday, but didn't win.
No, mine didn't either.
Yeah. Oh well. Next time. We'll still be here next week if we win, by the way.
We got some videos coming out tomorrow. I honestly, real talk, if I do win the lottery, I will still continue to be doing Coder Foundry.
I'll be here for at least one more.
One more show.
Yeah. No. We'll just have way better equipment, is what we'll do. That's what'll happen. That's what'll happen. We'll just show up with. We won't be filming on this anymore. Everywhere. Yeah. We'll be on site somewhere in Maui, like doing this. That's all we'll be doing.
A red camera.
Exactly, with a red camera as a webcam. Exactly. Guess why not? Cool. Right. Yes, we do have a new video tomorrow. So please, we would love if you watch that. It's 8 a.m. tomorrow morning.
Next week, we're going to do portfolios next week, I think, right? Can we commit to that?
Yeah.
So we're going to do portfolio reviews next week. We've got hopefully a new format for that you'll like and have fun. So hopefully you're here next Thursday to see what we do with that. We're going to change it up a little bit. And then, but if you want to apply, I think there's a Discord channel and then there's other things we could put down here in the comments if you want to, if you're still watching.
Yeah, we've been messing around with a new format, so that's
a new format. So you'll see. Yeah, we're excited about it. So,
cool.
All right, but next week, get your portfolio in. We'll review them online next Thursday. So it should be.
Yeah, good. I'll put out a tweet. If you don't follow us on Twitter, follow us on Twitter, and I'll put out the link there. I'll also put it on. I will put it on YouTube too in the community tab, so you guys can submit your portfolios there, and we'll look at some more.
Yeah, because you guys that DM me directly asking me to review your portfolio, just fill that form out and we'll get it in there. That's the best way to do it because I don't really pick the. Kevin picks them.
Yep. And again, I'll tweet that and I'll put those. I'll put that link in the community tab too, so you guys have plenty of time to submit them.
We'll do it. We'll do it next week. See you guys. Keep coding.
See you guys later.